It's shocking that Lil Durk is now being charged with murder. It turned out that Durk was out here playing 3D chess with everyone. He even paid sources to lie to the police and flew to LA to watch one of his operations get framed.
I don't think Vaughn paid them guys. I'm sorry to tell the world.
The off boss might actually get cooked because the cops are now going to use the rapper's lyrics in court. Is this the end for Lil Durk? Let's find out. Lil Durk is now facing new charges. When he was arrested in late October, everyone knew that he was responsible for hiring OTF members to kill fellow rapper Kurando. Now, 2 weeks later, the charges in the indictment. Lil Durk was charged with conspiracy, using interstate facilities to commit murder for hire resulting in death, and carrying and discharging firearms, including a machine gun, in furtherance of a violent crime resulting in death. If found guilty, the charges were serious. The story starts in 2020, with the sad death of Chicago rapper King Von. People in the music business were shocked when King Von died. This set off a chain of events that led to the arrest of several OTF members. The federal indictment also states that 5 individuals associated with OTF Callan London Grant Deandra Dantrell, Wilson Keith Jones, David Brian Lindsay, and Asa Houston were charged in Los Angeles with plotting to kill rapper Quando Rondo. People think that this plan has something to do with getting back at those responsible for King Von's death. The indictment shows how the FBI found a web of contacts and connections that pointed to a coordinated plan to attack Quando Rondo. It turns out that OTF members allegedly conspired to carry out are faced with grave charges, including murder. The fight between Quando Rondo and V started outside of an Atlanta bar, where V hit Quando Rondo hard, which led to gunfire. The indictment says that V committed murder for hire and used a machine gun in a violent crime. CCTV video showed V approaching fellow rapper Quando Rondo and punching him to the ground. V's guys jumped in and started raining blows on Quando as he tried to get away from his attackers. One of Q's homeboys, El Tim, appeared from behind their car with a gun in hand and started shooting off shots as everyone ran away. Vaughn was hit on his chest and later died from his gunshot wounds while in the hospital. For Lil Durk, the death of his friend was not only a personal loss, but also the start of his beef with Quando Rondo. Rumors began to circulate that Durk had put a bounty on Rondo's head. Turns out it was actually true. According, an OTF member told cops that after Vaughn's death, Durk used coded language to tell OTF members that he would pay a reward to anyone who would take part in killing Quando Rondo. Durk's cousin, Deandra Wilson, also told OTF members that anyone who took part in the murder would be rewarded with lucrative music chances. With OTF in August 2022, the situation hit a boiling point. According to federal court records, Lil Durk's associates allegedly found that Quando Rondo was staying at a hotel in Los Angeles. This information set off a chain of events that would end in a carefully planned murder plot. On August 18, 2022, a carefully orchestrated plan was set into motion, trying to ambush and eliminate Quando Rondo in the heart of Los Angeles. The details of this plot, as revealed through federal court records, paint a chilling picture of the lengths to which people were willing to go in pursuit of vengeance. The day began with Lil Durk's associates, Deandra Wilson, Keith Jones, David Lindsay, and Asa Houston arriving in Los Angeles. They had traveled from Chicago to San Diego and then driven to Los Angeles, allegedly using funds provided by Durk himself. The group was determined to carry out their mission with precision and stealth, avoiding any direct links to Durk by following his alleged instructions to avoid booking flights under names associated with him. The feds revealed that they obtained information from Durk's iCloud, where he warned them not to book anything in his name. However, despite the warning, they still went ahead and booked the flights using a credit card linked to Lil Durk and OF. Upon their arrival, the OTF members met with Con Grant, a top associate who had flown to Los Angeles on a private jet. Now, this is where things get interesting because the updated invoice has a new chilling detail. It turns out that Con Grant didn't fly alone. Lil Durk was with him, and that's some pretty damning information. Grant played a crucial role in facilitating the operation. getting hotel accommodations for the group, buying ski masks, and obtaining 2 luxury sedans to be used in the ambush. According to Grant also provided Jones, Lindsay, and Anion identified by third man with firearms, including one that had been converted into a machine gun, further escalating the potential for violence. As the day unfolded, the group allegedly began tracking Quando Rondo as he traveled around Los Angeles in a Cadillac Escalade. Their journey took them to various locations, including a marijuana dispensary and a clothing store in West Hollywood. The climax of the day's events occurred at a gas station across from the Beverly Center in the heart of Los Angeles. Here, Osa Houston allegedly parked his car strategically behind the station, setting the stage for the ambush as Quando Rondo and Robinson stopped at the gas station. Jones, Lindsay, and the unidentified third man reportedly exited their vehicle armed and ready to execute their plan. In a dramatic turn of events, the suspects opened fire, unleashing a hail of bullets in an attempt to kill Rondo. Tragically, when Rondo's cousin El Pob, who was standing outside the Escalade, was struck and killed in the gunfire, while Rondo miraculously escaped unharmed. In the aftermath of the attempted ambush, the suspects regrouped at an In-N-Out hamburger stand, where they allegedly discussed payment with Kai and Grant. The group then made their way back to Chicago, flying from San Diego. As authorities began piecing together the details of the brazen attack, so the guy who equipped and later paid off the shooters had flown with Lil Durk to law just a few hours before the shooting. And to make everything worse, he did all these with credit cards linked to Durk and off. Damn, it might take a miracle for Dario to get himself out of this one, but that's not all. The new indictment revealed that when news broke out that the Chicago rapper, there was a rumor that he had tried to flee the country. At the time, everyone thought the blogs were trying to blow things out of proportion, but it turns out it was straight facts. The apprehension of Mr. Banks as he tried to leave the United States is once again proof that the FBI and our extraordinary partners at the Los Angeles Police Department have a long reach. The assistant director in charge of the FBI Los Angeles field office said that, as it turns out, the feds have been keeping tabs on him for a long time. The FBI had even joined his gang and knew his every move. It was during this time of heightened surveillance that the FBI learned of Lil Durk's attempts to leave the country. According to the indictment, US Customs and Border Protection informed the FBI when Durk booked 2 one-way flights to Dubai and Switzerland on October 24th. These bookings raised immediate red flags as they suggested an effort to evade the legal consequences of the unfolding indictment. While Lil Durk did not take the flights to Dubai or Switzerland, the situation took a more dramatic turn when the FBI discovered that he had also arranged for a private plane to leave Miami and arrive in Italy. This revelation added a new layer of urgency to the investigation, prompting law enforcement to act quickly. The timing of these bookings, coupled with the serious charges facing his associates, painted a picture of a man on the run seeking refuge from the storm of legal troubles closing in on him. On the evening of Thursday, October 24th, FBI agents moved in to arrest Lil Durk at the Miami area airport. The arrest took place around 8:00 p.m., just an hour before his scheduled departure to Italy. The swift action by law enforcement ensured that Lil Durk would not evade justice as he was transported to Broward County Jail. A federal magistrate judge in Miami has ordered him jailed without bond until he is transferred to Los Angeles for arraignment. It also turns out that the FBI and LAPD's West Bureau homicide detectives found that Durk was involved in this heinous murder. And how they did it will shock you, because it turns out those involved couldn't help but brag about the hit on social media. How the feds caught Lil Durk in OTF after the charge was made public. Fans noticed something crazy, which DJ Vad pointed out. There were multiple people cooperating with the police. The hip-hop commentator took to his social media to share his findings, saying, "I carefully went through Lil Durk's paperwork and there are 3 co-conspirators whose names are hidden. One of them was one of the one booked flights for the shooters and another one told OTF about Ku's location in law. These 3 co-conspirators are probably cooperating with the feds against Durk and the other defendants defendants. According to the indictment, one or more co-conspirators, including co-conspirator 4, learned that when Rondo was visiting California and staying in a hotel in Law, it seemed like co-conspirator 4 was the one dropping Koo's locations. And what's crazy is that during a recent interview with WAC 100, it might have uncovered who co-conspirator.
If you go in there and look at that report, number 4 is a local guy that was dropping Quando's locations.
Oh, according to WAC, the world thought that the shooting in Atlanta that almost killed Quando Rondo and saw the rapper's cousin die was a drug deal gone bad between Armenians or—
We all thought that was a bad drug deal, weed deal. You know that. The world thought that that shooting was a bad weed deal between some Armenians or Persians. That's what the world thought.
However, in February 2023, Brick Baby went on social media and stated that no one can say that ATF didn't slide for Vo.
It wasn't until February of 2023 that Brick Baby goes on the internet with Flacco and says, out of nowhere, the world is oblivious to this. I guess they can't say OTF didn't slide for King Von anymore.
This is where things get interesting because it turns out when the feds heard Brick Baby saying that,
March, the feds get on Brick. We don't know this.
The feds, everyone thought he had caught a gun charge. However, it was soon discovered that they wanted his cell phone. We're under the presumption that it's an AK-47 case. But what really happened was they came there to get his cell phone. But there's more to this, because after the shooting, the feds told Quando Rondo that the gang that he was repping, the Rolling 60 Seconds Crips, had set him up. What do you think? The police told Quando that the Rolling 60 Seconds set him up. It turns out Brick Baby and Quando Rondo were repping the same gang, and when Quando landed in Atlanta, he checked in with his gang for protection. What was he claiming? A Roll 60 script where Brick Baby from Roll 60 script. Who do you think Che checked in with Rolling 60 Seconds with? Okay, I see where you're going with this. It's kind of clear that Brick Baby might have dropped Wondo's location to his ops, because after the shooting, the Savannah rapper took to social media to denounce his gang, claiming that they didn't have his back. He started by saying, "It's time for me to spend time to myself and free myself from a lot of people. My main man's gone in a lot more. I'm cool on a lot of it. If I feel like you're not with me, there's no reason for me to be holding on to you. No need to shake your hand or fake something with you. I'm living life how I want to live life. Whatever I want to do, I'm going to do it. You're going to either go on and get with it or get lost." In another post, he revealed that he wanted to leave that life behind unscathed, while also saying his set had no loyalty to him. "I'm not jumping out of the gang either. There's no trust in this. I'm my own man. I laid my flag down. I'm not a hoe, y'all aren't going to ride for real. It's no sense being a part of y'all with the resistance. I don't give a." But it also turns out that Brick Baby isn't the only one who went on the internet to talk about the crime, because the indictment showed that Durk actually rapped about it in his music. What's crazy is that the indictment also names the exact song, which means that Duro's lyrics will be used against him in court in the Wayne and Jackie Boy, which is in the indictment. Durk WPS told me they got an anti-go got spot. Go green light. Go look on the news and see your son. You screaming no, no, and all them hanging with him. If you know, Durk was talking about Quando Rondo, who was caught on camera screaming after his cousin El Poob was shot and killed by Durko's offshooters. And this wasn't the only time he talked about the murder in his music. In another track, Rumors, Lil Durk raps, "I don't want no to you catch. I want the one." Ironically, in the same track, Rumors, where he brags about paying for hits on his ops, Gucci M, who is also on the track, warned him about snitching on himself in his music, saying, "Watch the shit you say. The feds are listening to the music, and they are going to take your lyrics and build a case and try to use it. But Durk couldn't be saved because he also talked about the hit on a podcast with DJ Academics back in 2023. Durk sat down with DJ and he revealed some pretty dark stuff after King Vo died. Internet trolls kept telling Durk to get revenge for Vo with the famous phrase "slide for Vo." At the time, Durk freely said that he wouldn't slide for Vo in his track K hearing. Sirens Durk raps "My brother shot dead to violence. I truly think the feds around us, y'all. Tell me to slide, then turn around, then have the nerve to clown us. You ain't worried about lawyers. You'd rather talk about Tory and Meg Thee Stallion like their blogs. Not your dog." You turned to cowards in his DJ Academics interview. He was asked what he thought about the slide for Von.
For some reason, I just don't see the comments no more. For some odd reason. I don't know. Might be the water. You be seeing the comments a lot? They kind of chilled out a little bit.
Durk couldn't help but gently take credit for the hit. According to Durk, there was a reason why those comments quickly disappeared. For some reason. I just don't see those responses anymore. For some odd reason. I don't know. It might be the water. You see, those comments are a lot. They kind of chilled out a little bit. And since his arrest, this isn't the only murder that Durkio has been linked to. From the death of Chicago rapper FBG Duck to the accused murder of a postal office worker. The allegations are wild, and we might see Durk face the death penalty. Lil Durk linked to more murders. The number of bodies linked to Dario is concerning, and it looks like he was doing everything to clean up his image because just days before his arrest, the rapper held a birthday bash concert in Chicago where he paid tribute to all the people who had lost their lives in the Chicago gang war, including Little Jojo and FBG Duck, who were his ops. But FBG Duck's mom, Lena Weekly, was having none of it and took to Instagram to respond, posting "It didn't matter to nobody but us when Duck did it." As it turns out, FBG Duck had tried to mend fences with his ops from Oblique back in 2019 when he dropped Chicago Legends. However, Durk and King Von didn't want peace, so they continued dissing FBG Duck and his dead homies. Duck would reply with one of the most brutal diss tracks, Dead, where he dissed his ops and their dead homies, and according to reports, this track led to Von and Durk planning his murder. Accusations have now surfaced claiming that Durk conducted a staggering $100,000 bounty on FBG Duck just days before his arrest. FBG Duck's mother filed a lawsuit against Lil Durk, his record label, Only the Family, and the estate of King Vo. The lawsuit alleges that these parties not only condoned but also profited from the violence that led to her son's death. Central to the lawsuit is the claim that King Vo had put a $100,000 bounty on Duck's life. It wasn't long before FBG Duck was shot and killed at Michigan Avenue and East Oak Street in the Gold Coast area of Chicago. But word on the street, pay FBG Duck's killers, because I don't think Van paid those guys. I'm sorry to tell the world what's crazy is that cops reported that the person who paid for the hit rewarded the killers with custom-made O-block chains. A video emerged on YouTube of King Von giving Oblique members custom-made chains. It turns out that all this was capped because word on the street is that the reward was $250,000. Everybody says $150,000, but on the W-taps, it was $250,000. It looks like the informant was intentionally giving false information to the cops to divert attention away from Durk, and since V was dead, there wasn't any harm done. But all that is mere speculation, just like the 3 murders attached to his name, and one of them involves the baby mama of one of his close associates. There are conflicting stories surrounding Octavia Redmond's death, who was Otf Jam's baby mama. Otf Jam is believed to be one of the first rumor is that Lil Durk found out that Jam had been working with the feds. Determined to get his payback, Durk knew that getting an FBI informant marked could bring him unwanted attention from the feds, so he went after his child's mother. However, other stories show that Jam only started working with the feds after Durk refused to pay for his bond and lawyers. Another story was that Jam's baby mama was killed by the ops, but Durk and members refused to slide for him, so he ran to the feds. Jam's baby mama was sadly killed on the July 19, 2024, in the West Pullman neighborhood of Chicago. She was a postal worker and was prepared to deliver mail when a stolen SUV pulled up nearby. The vehicle, later identified as the getaway car, was driven by a 15-year-old suspect. The suspect left the SUV, approached Octavia, and shot her multiple times at close range, leaving her critically injured on the ground. The suspect, meanwhile, fled the scene in the stolen SUV. She was taken to Christ Hospital in critical condition, where she was later declared dead at the hospital. In the immediate aftermath of the shooting, the Chicago Police Department used CCTV footage to trace the suspect's moves before and after the killing. The stolen SUV was identified, and an anonymous tip gave crucial information that helped identify the suspect. The breakthrough came when the suspect was found in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and arrested on him. This isn't the only murder that has been linked to Durk's name, because his brother's supposed killer was gunned down in 2022, and it's now being revealed that he may have ordered his death. Lil Durk's brother D-Thing was shot in the head and killed on June 7, 2021. Outside a strip club in South suburban Harvey. Word on the street was that a dude named Stephen Mack was guilty for D-Thing's death, so Lil Durk put a bounty on his head. And on January 7, 2022, Mack was gunned down at the Youth Peace Center of Roseland, located at 420 West 111th Street. Soon 2 men, Anthony Montgomery Wilson and Preston Powell, were charged with murder for hire. The events leading up to Mack's murder were carefully planned. Montgomery Wilson and Powell, along with other unidentified accomplices, allegedly conspired to execute Mack in return for money. The plot involved the use of a cell phone and a 2014 Chrysler 300, which were deemed facilities of interstate trade by prosecutors. As Mack left the Youth Peace Center, gunmen emerged from a vehicle and opened fire. A security guard was also injured in the attack, but lived. Montgomery Wilson and Powell were charged with conspiracy to use an interstate facility in the execution of a murder for hire. Montgomery Wilson is now in prison, facing the full weight of the charges against him, while Preston Powell remains a fugitive, with law enforcement agencies actively seeking his arrest in all these cases. Lil Durk might actually be cooked. But again, it all might be cap. We can only wait and see whether he is charged with any of the killings. Meanwhile, you can watch similar content by clicking on the boxes playing on your computer.